All right, so here we are back at the Healthy Happy Kids Summit. I want to welcome you. I'm Christine Waltermyer, and really excited today we have with us Denny Waxman. I'm a huge fan of Denny's work. He has helped countless people, thousands, maybe even more, people recover their health from everything ranging from minor ailments to life-threatening stage 4 cancer. I've really personally witnessed this being a personal chef for clients that Denny has worked with. So he's really extraordinary. He's I can't believe what he's accomplished as one person. He's got the Strengthening Health Institute, which he founded. He's written books. He's also opened a health food store, a Scene Natural Market. But I'm going to let Denny share you a little bit more about himself and how he got into this work. So, hi, Denny.
Hi, Christine. Happy to be here. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Northeast Philadelphia. And growing up, basically, I really wasn't a happy camper. I didn't enjoy school. Actually, I hated school. I just, and once my mother went back to work, I became 100% junk food junkie. If it wasn't, to give you an idea, I started every day with a toasted bagel smothered with butter and a Coca-Cola. I finished every day with a big bowl of Breyer's vanilla fudge ice cream with crushed pretzels. I was such a fussy junk food eater, it had to be Breyer's vanilla fudge. In between was hamburgers, hot dogs, tasty cakes. I had the worst diet imaginable. And what I didn't know at the time is that my diet was responsible for my unhappiness. So long story short, as a teenager, I moved out. I found a book on macrobiotics and read it beginning to end. First book of my life. I couldn't put it down. It made so much sense. It was by a man named George Osawa, and he said, you can create your own life, your own health, your own happiness. It's all there. And more importantly, here's how you can do it. So I started to follow his recommendations. Then I met my teacher, Michio Kushi, began to study with him. And in a short period of time, I had 3 discoveries. Number one, my self-image changed. I saw myself differently. I was finally happy to be myself. Number 2, I realized I liked food. I liked healthy food. And I look forward to, grains and vegetables. And number 3, I finally knew what I wanted to do with my life, how I wanted to live. And the only thing I can, attribute these changes to, I guess you could say, macrobiotic philosophy, but the change in my diet and lifestyle practices. And that really transformed my life. Then I found out early on that I just had a liking and a talent for diagnosis and basically guiding people. And in '78, when I met Dr. Anthony Sotolaro, the president of Methodist Hospital, and I helped him recover his health, he really gave me confidence in my own ability to help people. After that, there was the Institute for Human Potential in Philadelphia. And for about 20 years, the director of the Institute was macrobiotic. And we had a lot of shared clients. They were clients to me all over the world. So I had a lot of experience working with families and kids, with brain injuries, and seeing the difference that diet and lifestyle practices could make. So finally, you already mentioned, we have our book, The Complete Macrobiotic Diet, at school, and I have 10 children, believe it or not,
Wow, that's impressive.
and three grandchildren.
Aw.
And I really advised and guided, hundreds and hundreds of families through, conception, childbirth, and raising kids. So it's an area, it's a subject, that I love. And, we have our new website is basically built on testimonials. And I've been thinking to myself, and for 5 areas, and if I could, concentrate on one area, it would really be, fertility, children, families, because that's really the happiest thing, working with children and families.
Oh, that's wonderful. Gosh. Oh, congratulations on your beautiful family. And they're
Thanks.
just, yeah. So lucky to have you as a father and grandfather. I'm sure they've all had healthy, very healthy starts and healthy lives. So that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
So what are some of the main health concerns that you see parents coming to you regarding their children?
These days, it probably breaks down into 3 areas. One is skin disease. All kinds of rashes and skin problems just seem to be, rampant among kids. Second is allergies. Allergies are growing all the time. Um, and all kinds of allergies. And then the third is learning difficulties, helping kids who are slow to develop or slow to learn. So they're the three main areas that I see now.
Wow. And you've probably seen pretty profound changes then when they change their diet. Does it really help with like all these different issues?
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes down to it, everything is diet related. What we eat today becomes our blood plasma tomorrow. Over 120 days, we create new blood. So day by day, we're changing and renewing ourselves. And what we eat and how we eat it just really determines our health in every aspect. And see, part of the problem is there is so much bad, wrong information, confusing information out there. Parents don't know what to do. So they try this and they try that, and the jumping around usually makes things worse. It exacerbates problems. So the one thing I can do is give them clarity about, what will work.
Yes, yeah, that's great. And, so what do you see as you touched a little bit on, that food is really kind of the contributing factor, but anything else, like as far as, causes, what's causing these health issues? Is some of it environmental or it's primarily food, you think?
I mean, some has to be environmental, but I'd say 95% really is food. And, the basic cause of all allergies is the combination of dairy foods and fructose, fruit sugar, which is in everything now. If it's not high fructose corn syrup, it's concentrated fruit sweeteners, or it's agave nectar. But it's that unique combination of the dairy and the fructose which causes more allergies than anything else.
Wow. And can also contribute to things like you're mentioning, like eczema and psoriasis and things like that.
Absolutely. And as well as, autoimmune disorders and learning difficulties.
Wow. Boy.
Like I said with my own experience that literally I hated school. I mean, it was torture for me to sit in school. But what I realized after changing my diet, my health, I had a love of learning. And I cannot wait to get up each day to figure out what I can learn or discover today. And I've seen this with, so many of my clients as they improve their health. I'm not saying all kids are going to love school. That, it depends. But a love for learning is a sign of health. And that's, so that's one thing that will definitely change.
Wow, that's great. And it probably also shifts the child's ability to pay attention or to sit still, things like that. I know my daughter has Down syndrome, so inherent with that, there are some issues of hyperactivity and, not having the same attention span. But, I'm sure that giving her the healthy diet I do helps. Like, I think it would be worse, if she didn't have that whole grain, healthy diet to keep her a little calmer and focused.
Absolutely. And it's well known that America is falling behind the rest of the world educationally. And, we blame it on a lot of things, but I think the answer is very clear. And it comes down to poor nutrition and lack of good outdoor activity. I mean, Finland has supposedly the best educational system in the world, and they have a lot less classroom time, a lot more playing, a lot more recess, things that we used to do. So the point is, it comes down to diet and activity. And the same things that cause the allergies and skin issues also cause, learning inabilities. They interfere with our memory and our thinking ability. So conversely, healthy nutrition helps our ability to think, to remember, to figure things out. It's all there.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I'm sure it empowers parents as well. As parents, we can sometimes short circuit or get overwhelmed. So that probably helps with our mental clarity and staying calm and patient too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gratifying to know some simple solutions and see your kids change, and all of a sudden, wow, things are good again.
Oh, that's great, boy. So what are some daily actions that parents can take to implement to help their kids really thrive?
Probably the single most important thing is the family meal. To have at least one meal a day where, we sit down, we eat together, we talk together as a family. And, the one thing I have to say, Before my mother went back to work, every meal, 21 meals a week, were at home. We ate out, a handful of times a year. And I think my ability to understand these things now is based on having a family meal. And after I wrote my first book, people sent me research. Um, it's funny afterwards. And the two things that got my attention most, number one, the most important thing to get your kids into college is the family meal. The only ground rule, everybody needs to participate in the conversation. The second, the most important thing to keep your kids away from drugs, alcohol, and tobacco is the same answer, the family meal.
Wow.
Which means no matter what you're eating or doing, I think if, we can have one meal a day, and if it's not one meal a day, several a week, where we just sit down, take some time, a good half hour, and spend time together and talk. It connects everyone.
That's so great. And I know you've also talked about the value of within that meal chewing well. It's so easy to just start like gulping down your food and eating quickly and rushed. And
Chewing is important because what happens when we're together with each other, then we connect with our food, so we're more satisfied with our food, and we connect with each other. Both things happen together, and then after that, it's what's part of the meal. And the single most important thing to get in our diet is whole grains. Any whole grain, brown rice, barley, millet. Farro is becoming very popular. Bulgur is good. Polenta, anything like any grains, any beans, any vegetables. So whole foods, plant-based foods, simply prepared are the most important things. Vegetable soups.
can really help to relax kids, I guess, the vegetable soups, right?
Relax them, and it's good for their digestion. Soups are satisfying.
Oh, that's great. So the paleo diet that's come into fashion, that's probably not a great way if you're trying to get those whole grains, right? I think that diet eliminates the whole grains.
Yeah, it's emphasizing meat and fat, and it's low carbohydrate, really the opposite of what we need. And our teeth and our digestive system show us that we're primarily plant-based. The long, digestive system of herbivores, and we only have 4 canine teeth that not everyone has out of 32.
Right, interesting. So what are some ingredients that we should emphasize as parents for our kids to keep them healthy? Any particular ingredients to keep on hand in our kitchens?
Well, out of all grains, brown rice is the most unique. It has the most complete and balanced nutrition. So if you do one grain, I would suggest make it brown rice. Second one, if for learning, for education, for thinking, millet is a very unique grain. It's easy to cook. You cook it with sweet vegetables. You can cook it in soups. You can do a lot of things with it. Second thing, for children to grow, there's 2 foods that I recommend to all parents. One is toasted sesame seeds. Sesame seeds really have all the, not all, but most of the most important, minerals and vitamins that children need for good blood and develop strong, healthy nervous systems. And there's a Japanese grinder called a slicky. It's a great invention, a sesame grinder. It's not a pepper mill, it's a sesame mill. You toast sesame seeds, tan or black, you put it in there, and just every day, just crush some sesame seeds from as soon as they're eating solid food. The second thing is toasted nori seaweed, the seaweed they used to make sushi rolls, nori rolls. Most kids love it.
Right.
They're just crazy about it, macrobiotic or not.
Right.
And it's another food. There's controversy. Are there any vegan sources of vitamin B12? And it's thought by a number of people nori is the most, likely source of vegan B12 that our body can actually utilize. So I can't verify that. I believe it to be true just because kids love it so much. But toasted nori is another thing. And after that, any kinds of vegetables or vegetable soups. Broccoli, my experience is most kids who eat healthy foods do like broccoli. Broccoli is one of those foods that seems to be universal.
Right, looks like a little tree or a little bush or something. They can dip
I
it.
like to pick it up and they dip it.
Right, right. Great. Okay. Along with that, or along those lines, how about fermented foods? Are those important for kids for their digestion, for the probiotics?
Well, I mean that's really a good question. There's a lot of talk about probiotics, but first of all, we have prebiotics and then probiotics. Prebiotics are the food for the probiotics, for the microbes to grow on. Prebiotics come from fiber, and the fiber is in grains, beans, vegetables, and fruits, seeds and nuts also. But so the variety, so all whole grains, all beans, all vegetables, all seed vegetables, seeds, nuts, and fruits all have digestible or soluble fiber, depending on the one, and that's food for the probiotics to grow. Out of all probiotics, three are the most important on the planet. One is miso soup, because miso is fermented or actually pickled grains and beans. So it helps with the grains and beans. Then we have sauerkraut or kimchi, which is the most unique pickled vegetables, depending if you like spices or not. And then the third is another obscure one, umeboshi plum, but also olives. Both are pickled fruits. So if you eat miso, you're getting pickled and fermented grains and beans, sauerkraut or kimchi is vegetables, then umeboshi plum or olives then are the pickled fruits. So you cover the full spectrum of quality, really foods. In addition to that, brown rice or apple cider vinegar is very helpful, which is not used in great quantities, but a little bit here and there for further aids, digestion. This gives you full range, and it raises another point. We tend to break everything down into nutrients. The problem is, if we take things out of context, it's not part of the whole food, they don't act the way they do in the foods. For example, when they discovered that smokers who had higher levels of beta-carotene and vitamin A in their blood naturally had less incidence of lung cancer, so they recommended that smokers should take vitamin A and beta-carotene. Well, guess what happened? They got more cancer, the ones that took the supplements.
Ooh, wow.
It didn't act the way it was expected. So the same thing, if we take a probiotic supplement, is it going to act the way it's expected? Who can say? But if you eat the foods we're talking about, the prebiotics and the probiotics, then you'll start to develop the healthy gut bacteria. And there's a whole other thing, that once we destroy the healthy environment, that it doesn't return. So people who've had lots of antibiotics or just the heavy meat, dairy, sugar diet, they change their internal their microbes, the microbiome. However, it's not really clear if we eat the right combination of pre and probiotics, whether we'll recultivate the diversity that healthy people have. My experience is the answer is yes.
Right.
Good food, good eating habits, and activity recultivate the diversity that's necessary for good health.
That's wonderful to hear, especially with, kids get these ear infections, and I think the antibiotics are so overprescribed. And
Absolutely. I mean, most times, and there's a time antibiotics sometimes are essential, but most of the times they're just not. It's just routine.
Right. Yeah, a little bit like palliative almost.
Right.
Yeah, and just a quick note on the sauerkraut and things like that. I don't know about anybody else out there, but my daughter doesn't love the sour flavor, so I just chop it really finely and I sneak it even into hummus or something just to kind of flavor it, and so she's getting it.
Yeah.
So how about any, let's see, I know you have great recipes on your website. I just wanted to mention that because we're talking about food, so I just want to let everybody out there know that Denny's got an amazing resource of recipes on his website, right?
Well, the recipes are especially in our book, The Complete Macrobiotic Diet.
Yes. Oh, okay, yeah.
And we've really, macrobiotics is known for kind of like a Japanese flavor, Japanese style cooking. However, our style of practice is probably half the so-called Japanese style, and then the other half is more like Mediterranean, Middle Eastern.
Oh,
And the recipes in our book reflect, how we've changed and adapted macrobiotic practice together with the menus in there.
great,
My
wonderful.
wife has a blog, Taste with Integrity, so she has recipes there. And then we have extensive recipes in our book, and there's not many on my website per se.
The volume had an issue for a second there. You said on your blog?
So my wife has a blog,
Oh,
Taste with Integrity, and she
oh,
has recipes there. We have a whole lot of recipes that are just, they work. And in our book, The Complete Macrobiotic Diet. And in my own blog, there's some recipes, things like that, but not that many.
oh no, no, that's great. Super. All right. Let's talk about sleep. How important is sleep quality for children?
Well, sleep is a barometer and is controlled, regulated by the combination of diet and activity. So sleep, yes, sleep is very, very important. However, if the child doesn't like to sleep or doesn't have good sleep, the answer is always in what are they eating? When we get the diet and activity right, then sleep becomes good. So for children, children's diagnosis is very simple. The number one important thing is their voice. A healthy baby has a strong cry, but it's pleasant. It's not grating. So sometimes you hear a kid cry and it almost makes you smile. Now others you hear, oh my God, what's wrong? Is a kid being tortured?
Oh no.
It's like I don't really, it's like you feel like something's not right.
Mm,
So you know when you hear a child's voice, a baby or child's voice, that it's strong and it's like a bell. It has a pleasant sound. Second is that they feel heavy, like a ton of bricks. Lift up.
oh, the volume's cutting out a little bit again,
Yeah.
Danny. Could you back up on
So,
that sentence?
yeah. So a healthy child always feels heavy, no matter how much they weigh. So we notice when if you're carrying your baby or a child and they fall asleep, then they get really heavy. But just anytime you pick up a healthy child, they should really feel heavy.
Huh.
That's second important.
So have like a real solidity to them, or
Yeah. So literally, when you pick them up, oh my God.
I think I say
So
that to my daughter every day. You're getting heavy.
right. So that's a good sign. That means they're well nourished. They have substance, which is what you want. Then the third thing is they have good sleep. That's overall the most important um, points to notice that anyone can notice about their children: the sound of their voice and their cry, how heavy they are, right? Then how they sleep. After that, it's like their complexion. There's other things that, unless you're experienced, you might not notice. Head shape, complexion, but those three things anyone can notice.
Wow, that's great. And just for the parents out there, I just want to share that Denny is a master at visual diagnosis, which is used a lot in macrobiotics in combination with other things like health history. But Denny can practically look at you and tell you what you dreamt last night. He's really, adept at that. So it's kind of a great diagnostic tool.
Yeah.
So how about the home environment? How can parents create a healthy home? I know I've heard you talk about like having plants in your home and aspects that we might not think of as far as creating a good home environment.
Yeah, because electromagnetic fields interfere, especially with children, in every way. And now, radio waves, Wi-Fi, we are just surrounded from every direction with electromagnetic fields and radio waves. And the best natural compensation is number one, green plants. And calm and hard to kill green plants are best, like the peace lily or pothos, things like that. The ones you see everywhere, and they're very forgiving. They're the best ones to generate negative ionization, which counters the electromagnetic fields. And in addition, they generate healthy oxygen and they detoxify. So you always want to have more than one type of plant because different plants take care of different things. And you want enough plants in each room that you notice that they're there. Right? So you don't they don't need to take over your house. You need to, oh, there's some nice plants here. Then the most important room for plants is the bedroom. I know people say, well, don't keep plants in the bedroom because they give out carbon dioxide at night.
Yeah, that's what I always hear.
But that's a natural cycle. We don't need much oxygen at night. We need it during the day. So during the day, the plants are producing oxygen that we need. Plants in our bedroom help us sleep better. They make us feel cover more quickly when we can see plants. First thing before going to bed, so last thing at night, first thing in the morning. The next important places are the kitchen and bathrooms because they're the major source of pollution. Running water. All city water has a number of known carcinogens, cancer-producing substances. So if you run the water, especially hot water, it vaporizes. That means green plants in the kitchen and bathrooms are next. Then anywhere we spend time. So, put it, near the computer, near the TV. That's one thing. The second is pure cotton, and especially organic cotton next to our skin acts as a buffer for imbalances in the environment. So any cotton clothes, socks, underwear, sheets, pillowcases, towels, all things like that helps enormously. After that, any natural materials in the house, wood, wool. After that, ventilation. Especially modern houses are sealed. They don't have a good flow. If you live in an older home, it's usually leaky. You don't have to worry about it. You have drafts. But if not, then to open some doors and windows every day, even 5, 10 minutes, let some fresh air in every day. Get circulation. Those things change the environment, transform our home environment.
That's wonderful. Those are such subtle things that people may not think of. I think I need to go out and buy more plants. I only have like 3 in my whole apartment.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else that you want to leave parents with to help children feel their best? We've covered so much, but I didn't know if you had any other little
I think the most important, parents, we always want our children to be healthy and happy. And if we're into eating healthy foods, we worry about them eating other foods. But with our children, that wasn't our concern. Our concern was, did they like to eat healthy foods at home? So as long as they would eat healthy foods at home, I never worried what they ate out. If they eat so many things out, to the point where they squeeze their appetite at home, then it becomes an issue. Then start to talk about it. And so I think the best thing is to, keep it very open and just have a discussion and start to question children, how does this affect you? How do you feel? So they start to make the connections themselves. I would say, if parents could do one thing, help their children develop and cultivate an appreciation and enjoyment for healthy foods and healthy lifestyle practices, so that as they grow, they take the initiative. I think that makes a huge difference, rather than feeling that we're pushing these things on them. In which case, as soon as they can, they'll rebel.
Right.
But if they themselves have the enjoyment and the appreciation for healthy foods, healthy lifestyle practices, which is so much easier this day because it's in our consciousness. So many children, they don't want to eat animal foods anymore. They don't want to eat dairy foods. They're concerned about animals, they're concerned about the planet, and health is something everyone's talking about. So it's much easier now to help kids develop that sense than it was in the past.
Yes, I agree. And even in the lunchroom, I think there's less, like kids aren't going to make fun of another child if they're eating differently. Like I know my daughter takes seaweed and, instead of picking on her about that, the other kids have started like asking for seaweed at home. They want their moms to buy that as a snack. So
yeah. Exactly. 20, 30 years ago, kids got, made fun of and laughed at, and they were very self-protective. They'd hide their food.
Right.
To put it away.
Now they're starting seaweed trends. Well, Denny, it's been great talking with you, and I understand you have a little gift for participants out there, so they can kind of get a taste of what you do.
Yeah, my wife Susan put together a collection of recipes. Actually, it was for a children's film a few years ago, and so she's going to update them, and we'll have a collection of recipes that are great, foods and desserts, that are fun for kids.
Oh, that's wonderful. And
That are available.
great. So, if people want to take advantage of either your health counseling or your programs, I know you offer great classes there in Philadelphia. If people want to take advantage of that, how do they find out more about that?
Yeah, so my website is dennywaxman.com. DE is in Edward. DENNYWAXMAN, dennywaxman.com. And that basically is linked to everything. You can get our book through the website. You can set up counseling appointments. You can see our schedule, but also then on the resource page, there's a link to SHI, Strengthening Health Institute, which is our school, where we have online and on-site classes, 1 day, 4 day, year long. So plenty of things for people to choose from. Plus that there's a link to my wife's blog. So the one stop, dennywaxman.com, will get people to everything.
Oh, super. I'm sure it's going to help parents out there so much. And I didn't realize you added the online component. That reaches people all over the world. That's wonderful.
Yeah, we've made that change in the last 2 years. We've followed the pattern of all the leading universities. Everyone's doing it.
Yes. Great. All right. Well, it's been super inspiring talking with you, Denny. Thanks so much for taking the time. And we really enjoyed this. So thank you.
Christine, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Great. All right. You have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye now.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.